So the leaks for Boruto 2 Blue Vortex chapter 25 has just been released, and this chapter ends up defying our anticipations, as a lot of the things that we end up seeing in this chapter wasn't what a lot of people believed was going to take place. However, it gave us the conclusion to a lot of different plot points that we have seen being discussed in the past. So the chapter cover for this chapter is Himawari, and on my personal end, I really like this cover. We see Himawari with this 2000 fit. I like the flared pants that she's wearing, and I really like that with her outfits is very intentional with who exactly she is, due to the fact that she now has Kurama inside of her, and we do end up learning a lot more about the dynamic of Kurama and Himawari in this current chapter, and I really like what we do end up seeing. So if it was strictly off Himawari's new design, I'd rate it a 10. But since it is not, and we have Kurama there, I'd rate it a 9 to an 8.5. I don't really like Kurama when he's small like this. It's just my own personal opinion. I don't see anything wrong with it. It's just not my favorite design in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. However, Himawari's design is one of my favorites. She also has the gloves just like Boruto, but this time she has it on the opposite hand that Boruto normally does. This is another sign that she's accepting Boruto as her brother, and just something that I really like about Ikimoto and the designs that he ends up showcasing for his characters. So the chapter begins with the sneak peek page that we saw before, a Moegi who is getting her soul thorn bulb implanted in her, and this is where we see it being implanted. After it is implanted, it does end up showcasing a symbol, and after the symbol is showcased, we do end up seeing that Moegi comes out with steam, almost like an Attack on Titan character that is coming out of their personal titan. We see Konohamaru and Matsuri exchanging a hug, and looking from the distance is Boruto, who is flying, yet again another aura moment for Boruto himself. Then we go back to the village of the sand, where we see that Gaara is hospitalized but is not in a dire state. He is not on the verge of dying. We end up seeing Sarada go and see exactly how Moegi is doing at the hospital, where there is Team 10, Konohamaru, and also Sumire, with a bit of awkwardness that is taking place. I do not have the text translations for all of this, and I'll probably be saving it for the chapter review, but we do end up seeing Moegi is able to talk, and from what I've heard from those who can actually read Japanese, is that Moegi is only suffering from malnutrition, and that her chakra still has to line up to the rest of her body, as essentially her chakra was being drained by the actual Senju, who was Matsuri. But then we end up having a conversation between Sarada and Matsuri, and the paneling that we do end up seeing in this chapter, and the art style in general, it is very crisp, and I really like what Ikimoto is doing right here. Again, when Ikimoto doesn't do so well in his designs, like the early parts of Boruto. However, when it comes to Ikimoto right now, the growth that I'm currently seeing, and this is simply the leaks, it is absolutely amazing. So although we do not have the exact translations of everything that is taking place, but what I know is taking place is a conversation between Sumire and Boruto about their fallout and about Boruto, where it is revealed by some of the leakers that they are discussing Boruto, where Sarada actually confesses for the first time that she is indeed in love with Boruto, and Sumire comes to understand that too, where Sumire on her end actually apologizes. But what I can just see from Sarada right now, and Sarada's personal growth, is not some crazy character development in the sense that something really crazy happened to her, like she lost somebody, which is something that people came to expect, especially from the Uchihas when it came to Naruto. However, her growth right here is actually something that we can see in our day-to-day lives, which is what I really like about Boruto, how realistic it tends to be, especially in the manner in which it deals with character developments, especially with characters like Sarada, where we see that Sarada also has to accept the love that she has for Boruto, and now we see her smiling and admitting that to Sumire. We see an Ida who obviously is paying attention to the drama that is going on. She really seems like she is enjoying it, but we do get a very beautiful panel at the end. A panel of essentially Sarada and Sumire running together back to the leaf with a smile. And this is one of just the iconic moments, an iconic panel that we will come to remember, especially when you come to see it for the chapter review and when you read it personally for yourself. Without really understanding everything that is happening, really warmed my heart. I really liked the way they ended their conflict. I liked them holding their hands and the connection that they have, even though they may like the same person, which is kind of difficult to expect, especially when it's Boruto, because there are very few like Boruto. However, just seeing their connection still remain is something that is beautiful to see, and I definitely do believe that a lot of girls who are reading the show would probably have enjoyed it. I don't relate to it as much, especially since I'm a guy, but it is something I can see being quite heartwarming. But this is where things get a little bit more heated up in the sense of the information that we learn, and this is something I've always wanted to see. It is Himawari actually in her household, and I believe that this is something that we're going to see in this chapter, and I'm quite happy that it actually was the case. This is something that I discussed in my previous video, discussing how we could see a little bit of how Himawari is living, and we can see that Himawari, during her time back, especially from the mission that she had with Jiro, or at least the encounter that she had with Jiro, she is now training with Kurama, and I really like to see this. We see her training in her psyche. She hits a pose similar to Sage Mode, and then she is able to tap into this realm in which Kurama and her can interact in their mind, where we do end up seeing her training with Kurama, but Kurama clearly has the upper hand. And what is being described here from what has been revealed is simply that Kurama is training her to fight more like a Tau beast, as although she is human, she is more of a Tau beast than she actually is human, more like Kurama than she actually is compared to any other regular human. So instead of continuing to use common sense, she has to expand her imagination, and we see the various ways in which the Ten-Tails is capable of using chakra is because there is no limitations that she has. With chakra, and especially good chakra control, she will be capable of performing feats that regular humans are simply not able to do so, and performing feats that Tau beasts are capable of. And that is very interesting to me due to the simple fact that it was theorized by a lot of people that she was simply going to be this medical ninja. She was going to train with Sakura and learn medical ninjutsu. However, this is not the case. She is definitely going to be a fighter, and I definitely can't wait to see what ends up happening next for her character, especially since she has the Byakugan. But now we end up seeing Boruto, and Boruto is the one who is looking on to Himawari. We see a Boruto who doesn't necessarily go to talk with Himawari, but he is observing, like an older brother. He knows that interfering may cause more issues, but at least he shows that intention that he wants to still spend quality time with his sister, even if it is from a distance. But now we end up seeing Boruto do something quite interesting, and he closes his mind, a bit like what Himawari was doing, but without the hand seals, and he is capable of going to the dimension in which Momoshiki is from, Momoshiki's parent dimension. And obviously this is taking place in their mind, but it is still in the dimension where it all began, where Boruto got his karma. And this is where we see in Momoshiki, who is just laying there and is very tranquil. And we get Momoshiki who is like, yo, usually it is the other way around. Usually I come to you, but this time, why are you coming to me? And it is very lovely to see. I'm so glad my goat Momoshiki is finally back, bro. Momoshiki, there's just something about him. It's the way he carries himself. He has that swagger to him that I really love. But Momoshiki is essentially discussing things with Boruto, and although I can't tell you exactly what is being discussed, I can tell you a summary of it. And essentially, Boruto is coming with a proposition, a deal for Momoshiki, and that deal is something that few have theorized, but it's something that has always lingered around the community, something that we discussed in my Jogan video, and it is that Boruto is making a deal with Momoshiki. A deal that basically entails that he will give Momoshiki free reign if and only if Momoshiki is to take down Jura. And now that is what we are being left up to, as the last page is simply Sarada and Sumire. I don't know exactly what is being said, but the preview for the next chapter is what will Momoshiki's response be, and what exactly is this deal that they're going to have with Boruto. And I'm very excited to see what is going to be taking place, as clearly I think Momoshiki is going to take on that offer. And it means that we're finally going to get something that I wanted to have for a while, and that is Momoshiki's reaction to this abomination of the Senju. And we're going to be getting that most likely next chapter, or maybe we won't hear much about the ending of this conversation. Regardless of what really ends up happening, this is leading on the stage of Boruto's actual plan. Boruto is going to give up his life to Momoshiki for him to be able to take down Jura. Now, how exactly is going to happen? I really do not know, but that's why we're going to be waiting for another chapter to come. But these are the current leaks that have been released, and to be 100% honest, I can't wait till the text translations are coming out. Obviously, it was great to see this conclusion between Sarada and Sumire, but what I really want to learn more about is Himawari and Boruto's current situation. And it may reinforce the theory that the two blue vortexes are actually Boruto and Himawari, due to the simple fact that in one hand we have Himawari go to Kurama and start training with Kurama, and then we had another inner moment between Boruto and Momoshiki. So maybe those are the two vortexes, a vortex of darkness and a vortex of hope, which is something that is quite interesting. I don't have a definitive answer on who exactly are the two blue vortexes, but right here we do get a little bit reinforcement for the ideas that some people had. So from what I can currently see, this chapter is going to be amazing. Let me know your thoughts, comments, and concerns. And if you want to learn a little bit more about the theory that I had that ended up coming to be true and that the community had together, watch this video right here.